Hi, this is Miss Sec. This is a pre-recorded lesson for comparing functions. If you're attending the live class or you're watching this pre-recorded video, I expect you to be solving the problem. So either you're solving the problems in your math journal or you're solving the problems on a piece of paper. So if you don't have a piece of paper and a writing utensil in front of you, pause this video, take out a piece of paper and pencil, and get ready to work. So let's review some vocabulary. The slope is the number that multiplies x. Before, we were calling it the coefficient. And the y-intercept is the number that adds x. Before, we were calling it the constant. The slope from a table, you find it by finding the change in y over the change in x. In this problem, the change in y is 3 and the change in x is 1, so the slope is 3. The rate of change is interchangeable with slope for today's lesson. So the rate of change is the slope. It's the number in front of x. It's the number that multiplies x. So in this problem, the rate of change is 7/2. Define the rate of change or slope from a graph. You draw a right triangle and you count the boxes and you find the change in y over the change in x. So I would like you to pause the video and solve this problem. Ms. Sec has $10. She spends $2 per day. I want you to draw the table and find y equals mx plus b. So the function is y equals negative 2x plus 10 because Ms. Sec begins with $10 and she spends $2 per day. We could tell that the function is y equals negative 2x plus 10 from this graph because the graph begins at $10 and then we can draw a right triangle to find the slope. So it's going down 2 and over 1. So the slope is negative 2. Okay, I'm trying to load the video.
In this lesson, you'll be able to compare functions that are represented graphically or as an equation. We're going to look at the example of Mike and Carol walking to school. These graphs below show Mike's walk to school in comparison to Carol's walk to school. Now look at these graphs and write an equation for each. Who walks faster? So the strategy we'll use is by first examining these graphs, which show how fast Mike and Carol walk to school. Use each graph to come up with an equation for the function represented. Then find the rate of change for each and compare. So let's start with Mike's graph. So Mike's graph is a straight line. And on the graph, the y-axis shows the distance covered in miles, and the x-axis shows the time that has passed in minutes. Now we can use the graph to define a function for y, which is distance, in terms of x, which is time. So you could do this by using a table right here. So the graph starts at the origin. So 1 point is 0, 0. This means that Mike has walked 0 miles in 0 minutes. This is his starting point. Now another point on the graph, 21, shows that after 20 minutes, Mike has walked 1 mile. Let's look for one more point. Let's pick 42. So in 40 minutes, Mike has walked 2 miles. Now looking at this table, you can find the slope of this function. Slope is the change in y divided by the change in x. In other words, the difference of the y values over the difference of the x values. So we can take any 2 points like 21 and 42, and we can plug it into this formula right here to calculate the slope. So the difference in y would be 2 minus 1 divided by the difference in x, which is 40 minus 20. And this simplifies to 1 over 20. Now, since this is a proportional graph, which means this line is straight and it goes through the origin, there's an easier way to find the slope. The slope of a proportional relationship is y divided by x. As y goes up by 1, x goes up by 20. This equation is 1 over 20x. Thus, this equation represents the function, and this means that Mike walks each mile in 20 minutes, or his speed, which is distance divided by time, is 1/20th miles per minute. The slope is the rate of change of the graph. Every time y changes by 1, x changes by 20.
Okay, so which function has a greater rate of change? So I would like you to stop the video and try to solve this problem. Okay, so function B, we don't have to do any math to find its rate of change. So in function B, the slope is the number that multiplies x, so the slope is 2. In function A, we have to find 2 points, draw a right triangle. The slope is 6 over 1, which is 6. So function A has a greater rate of change. So I want to know who has the greater rate of change for this problem, function A or function B. Well, in function A, the number in front of x is 1. So the slope is 1. In function B, we can draw a right triangle, and the slope is going up 4 over 1. So the slope is 4. Which one has a greater rate of change? Well, function B has a greater rate of change because 4 is greater than 1. Okay, let's practice. South Bowie Library and Oxon Hill Library are having a used book sale. The total cost y of the function of the number of books x. In which library is it cheaper to buy books? So the slope for South Bowie Library is the number in front of x. The number in front of x is 1. And we can draw a right triangle and count the boxes. So it's going up 2 over 2. So the slope is 1 for South Bowie Library, and the slope is 2 over 2, which is 1. So actually, in which library is it cheaper to buy a book? Well, it costs the same at South. They both cost $1 to buy a book. Which function has a greater rate of change? Please pause the video. Okay, in this problem, the slope is 3/4. And in this problem, you have to draw a right triangle. So we look for, so we can put a dot here. So we put a dot here, and then we look for another place where we can draw a dot. So we can put a dot here, and we can draw a right triangle. And this is 1 over 2. So m is equal to 1/2. And this one, m is equal to 3/4. So which has a greater rate of change? So the question is which one is a bigger number? Is 1/2 a bigger number, or is 3/4 a bigger number? So whichever one is the bigger number is the greater rate of change. Okay, so this week I'm doing something different. This week, instead of giving the line paper assignment, I'm giving you a very long Quizizz. So the people who attend the live class get a very short Quizizz, but you guys, you're going to do a very long Quizizz, and it's going to be worth 2 assignments. Please keep doing the Quizizz until you get 60%, because that is the minimum grade for passing. See you next week.